Animal Farm. Animal Farm was written by George Orwell. On the surface, it's a fable, but underneath, it's sharp political satire. The story follows a group of farm animals who rebel against their human owner, hoping to create a world of equality and freedom. But once they take power, the pigs who lead the revolution slowly become even more corrupt than the humans they replaced. The book's most famous line is, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others." Orwell wrote it as an allegory of the Russian Revolution of 1917, when the people overthrew the old Tsarist regime, only to be replaced by Joseph Stalin, a dictator just as oppressive. Because of its strong political message, Animal Farm was banned in many communist countries, especially in the Soviet Union, and even faced controversy in some American schools. Lolita. The novel Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov was published in 1955, and it immediately sparked massive controversy. The story is told from the perspective of Humbert Humber, a middle-aged man obsessed with a girl named Dolores Hayes, whom he calls Lolita. Humbert marries her mother only to get closer to Lolita. After the mother's death, he takes Lolita on a road trip across America while hiding their dark relationship. It's clear why this book was banned. Its themes were seen as obscene, with strong elements of pedophilia. Many countries, including France, Canada, and South Africa, banned it for portraying such a taboo relationship so explicitly. Yet, on the other hand, many literary critics praised Lolita as a masterpiece, not for its subject matter, but for Nabokov's brilliant use of metaphor, irony, and psychological depth. Mein Kampf. Mein Kampf was written by Adolf Hitler himself while he was imprisoned in 1924. The book is a mix of autobiography and extremist ideology, filled with Hitler's views on race, politics, and his hatred toward Jewish people. From this very book came the foundation of Nazi thought that led to World War II and the massacre of millions. It was banned because of how dangerous it was, a book capable of spreading hate. After the war, Mein Kampf was outlawed in many countries, including Germany, for fear it could revive Nazi ideology. Yet on the other hand, the book is still studied today in historical contexts, not to agree with it, but to remind the world how words alone can turn men into monsters. The 120 Days of Sodom. The 120 Days of Sodom was written in 1785 by Marquis de Sade while he was imprisoned in the Bastille. The story is brutally disturbing. It follows 4 wealthy noblemen who torture and assault dozens of young victims for 120 days, purely for pleasure. There's no love, no empathy, only power and cruelty. Many have called the book insane, sadistic, and far beyond moral limits. It was banned because of its extreme sexual violence, torture, and murder. For over 2 centuries, it was outlawed in almost every country, even in France, where it wasn't published openly until the 20th century. To some, the book stands as the most extreme reflection of how humans can become monsters when power and desire are left unchecked. The Road. The Road follows the journey of a father and his young son struggling to survive in a world left in ruins after an apocalypse. The sky is gray, the earth barren, and humans are preying on each other for survival. Amid all that despair, the father's only mission is to keep his son alive and to keep him human. The book was banned in some places for being too dark and brutal for younger readers. Many American schools even removed it from reading lists because of its graphic violence and extreme hopelessness. Yet beneath all that sorrow, The Road is seen as one of the most powerful stories ever written about a father's love, about the small flicker of hope that endures in a world with no future. The Anarchist Cookbook. The Anarchist Cookbook was written in 1971 by William Powell when he was just 19 years old. The book became infamous for containing detailed instructions on how to make bombs, weapons, drugs, and methods of sabotage, written almost like a war manual for civilians. At the time, Powell said he wrote it as a form of protest against the government and the Vietnam War. The book was banned because it was considered highly dangerous and could be used to promote acts of terrorism. Governments in the United States and many other countries prohibited its distribution, and even Powell himself later regretted writing it, publicly asking that it no longer be published. Unfortunately, by then, copies had already spread widely across the internet. Blood Meridian. Blood Meridian is often seen as one of the most brutal and most influential novels in American literature. The story follows a teenager known as the Kid, who ends up joining a group of hired gunmen on the 19th century American-Mexican frontier. They ride through deserts, small villages, and dusty border towns, leaving violence behind everywhere they go. It's a world full of roaming armed gangs, taking out anyone they label an enemy. The most terrifying character here is Judge Holden, a bald, massive, brilliant, and ruthless man who treats war like it's the highest law of life. He becomes a mentor to the kid, constantly pushing the idea that humans aren't born with morality, and that violence is the real rule of the world. Because of how extreme the violence is, the book has often been called one of the most brutal novels in American literature, even rejected by some libraries and young reader groups. But many critics still see it as a dark masterpiece, a harsh reminder that American history itself was built on violence.